Well, thank you for choosing News 4 this election night. I am Tessa Spencer, and we have a lot of results to go over tonight. Our whole team is here working for you to cover the key races from all over the Lowcountry. Public safety continues to be a top-of-mind issue for many voters. Our Claire Weber will bring us the latest in the Charleston County Sheriff's Office race. But first, the 1st Congressional District's incumbent looks to be heading back to the general election. Our Conley Grayson is out at Nancy Mace's campaign headquarters tonight in Mount Pleasant with more on this triumphant night for Mace's team.
Tessa, it may be quiet and empty now, but just an hour ago, it was a loud celebration. That's because Nancy Mace's campaign is officially headed to the November general election. Tonight, she won the Republican primary for the 1st Congressional District. Mace walked into an electric watch party to celebrate the win. The Associated Press called the race at 8:40 tonight. Incumbent Mace defeated her Republican challengers with 57.7%. Catherine Templeton in second with 28.7%, and then Bill Young with 13.7%. On stage, Mace thanked the voters, her team, family, and friends, and gave a giant heartfelt thank you to Donald Trump, saying his endorsement was more important than ever. Now Mace's focus shifts to the general election. She has the first flight out of Charleston to D.C. in the morning.
Is his name Michael Bernie more because he's a Bernie bro. He supports socialism. He brags about hanging out with Bernie Sanders. And I look forward to educating Lowcountry voters about who Bernie Sanders is and socialism, because it's not for the Lowcountry. Those are not our values. But tonight is really about this gigantic win. $7 million was spent against us. We were outspent over 3-1. The D.C. establishment machine, the swamp, came after us, and we won big. And that's what the story is about tonight.
Congresswoman Mace is vying to serve a 3rd term, and she will now be up against Michael Moore. We're now going to send it over to our Webb Wright, who's covering the Democratic primary for the 1st Congressional District. Webb.
Thank you, Conley. And as you said, we now know who Nancy Mace will face in November. The Associated Press has called the Democratic contest as well. Michael B. Moore has indeed declared victory, beating out Mac DeFord by a tight margin. A few votes still to be counted, but Moore currently with a roughly 53 to 47 lead over DeFord in a race that tightened a bit late, but ultimately was called for Moore. Now, Moore took his victory lap a little over an hour ago. He leaned in on his experience as a Lowcountry businessman with more than 40 years of experience in the business world, and it also included many opportunities to meet with foreign heads of state, as well as his Lowcountry legacy as the great-great-grandson of famous Reconstruction House Representative Robert Smalls. Moore says he thinks he has a real opportunity to flip this seat back to the Democrats in November.
Nancy Mace really misjudged the district. She spent a lot of time and effort, trying to cozy up to the former president, was able to get his endorsement. But then when Trump lost in the primary, I think it proved that Nancy really misread the political tea leaves of the district. So the district is much more centrist. It's a purple, swing district. And so, we are out talking to folks and generating lots of support. And so we're excited about the opportunity to build this broad coalition of voters across the political spectrum.
Now, Moore says he will focus on women's health care and reproductive rights, as well as a broader push to make health care affordable for everyone. Moore says he will take the evening to celebrate the win before getting to work tomorrow. Working for you, Webb Wright, News 4.
Well, turning now to a congressional race that spans from the Charleston Peninsula to downtown Columbia. We spoke with the candidates one-on-one earlier this month. Duke Buckner will be the one making it out of the District 6 Republican primary and heading now to the general election. He'll be taking on longtime incumbent Jim Clyburn in a rematch of the 2022 general election. Clyburn won that comfortably by about 24 votes. Well, now to 2 state congressional candidates marred by controversy over the last few months. As of tonight, it looks like they'll both be getting another term. State Senator Deon Tedder has a pretty solid lead over Kim Green, almost 70 votes, on his way to his first full term. Last week, a criminal investigation against Tedder was confirmed by the Attorney General's office regarding allegations of sexual assault. He denies the allegations, calling them politically motivated. No Republican ended up filing to challenge him in November. And in District 113 tonight, Representative Marvin Pendarvis not only ran unopposed in the Democratic primary, he also doesn't face a Republican challenger in November. Now to the race for two positions tasked with a crucial responsibility in the Lowcountry. That's your safety. We got our eyes on two Lowcountry Sheriff's Office races. Our Sedacia Smalls tonight is out in Dorchester County. But first, let's go to our Claire Weber as the race for who will be challenging Sheriff Kristen Graziano in November appears to be heading to a runoff. Claire?
Tessa, while Carl Ritchie and Greg Kitchens were clearly the front runners of this race, neither candidate could secure over 50% of the vote. This sends the two to a runoff election where voters will get to decide whose name they see on the ballot in November. Ritchie, former Mount Pleasant police chief, secured roughly 42% of the vote. Kitchens, a Marine Corps veteran and former CCSO deputy, took home about 45%. Both say they're the right candidate to defeat Sheriff Kristen Graziano, bringing new leadership to Charleston County law enforcement.
Republicans in Charleston County, we cannot take a chance. We can't roll the dice. We need the best to beat the incumbent. I am that leader, and I humbly ask for your vote to win in 2 weeks and to win again in November. Thank you all.
I'm very excited about being your next sheriff. I came out of a very pleasant retirement to run for office because it's been on my heart, and I feel I can make a difference and change the Charleston County Sheriff's Office in a very positive way to serve the public like never before.
Both have outlined their future plan if elected. Ritchie's includes school safety, securing the Al Cannon Detention Center, and prioritizing mental health. For Kitchens, he wants to improve staffing numbers, stop the drug epidemic, and prevent a rise in human trafficking. The two Republicans will now face off in a runoff within the next weeks. The winner will go head-to-head with Sheriff Graziano in November. Our team coverage now picks up in Dorchester County, where Sedacia Smalls has been following another sheriff's race. Sid?
Well, the room is clear now, but the energy was high as Sam Richardson claimed victory as Dorchester Sheriff tonight. Now, out of a total of nearly 10,000 votes, over 7,000 people voted Richardson over Republican candidate Mike Turner. From deputy sheriff to sheriff, Sam Richardson is no stranger to holding a leadership position. Some of his key initiatives to protecting the county include performing the sheriff's office structure and enhancing neighborhood patrol. And I was able to catch up with Sam Richardson and Democrat candidate Charles Frederick.
I feel good about the race. At the end of the day, we had to get through this primary before we move forward. Looking forward to the general and looking forward to having a good competitive race. Just getting out, talking to the people, making sure that I listen to the people and understand what the needs of the people were. Well, basically, I'm going to take a little time off, and then we're going to hit back on the campaign trail, and we're going to hit the streets and talk to the people and let them know, we're going to shake more hands and get out face to face and let people know, who I am and what my campaign promises are and how we plan to affect change in Dorchester County as the new sheriff.
In a tight Democratic race, Charles Frederick beats Tremaine Moore with 1,669 votes. Now, results are still unofficial, but they'll be certified later on this week. Reporting live in Dorchester County, I'm Sedacia Smalls.
Thanks, Sid. Well, it is a jam-packed election cycle for Lowcountry State House and Senate races. In the Senate District 32 Democratic primary, incumbent Ronnie Sabb has defeated Priscilla Sumter. Sabb will not face a Republican challenger in November. In Senate District 41, incumbent Sandy Sender, known as one of the sister senators, is in a close race with Representative Matt Lieber. The winner of this race would also not have a general election opponent. And incumbent Senator Brian Adams has a lead over Sean Pinkston for District 44. The winner of that race will face Democrat Vicky Nguyen in November. Now, a quick overview of the likely Democratic House nominees who faced opposition this primary season. Incumbents J.A. Moore, Joe Jefferson, and Wendell Gilliard all seem to have held on to their Democratic nominations. Charlie Murray looks to have the nod in District 116. He won't have a challenger in November, with Lieber making a run for that Senate seat. Neither will Gilliard. Now, on the Republican side, incumbents Chris Murphy and Joe Bustos both seem to have edged out their opposition. Right now, Ralph Elzey and Harriet Holman are still fairly close. It was yet another eventful election night in the Palmetto State. Political analyst Gibbs Knotts is here with us tonight to kind of talk us through everything that went on. A quick night at the office, Gibbs, for Nancy Mace.
Yeah.
Now she's going to be taking on Michael Moore. Did you see that playing out any differently than what it did tonight?
I expected Mace to win. It was called maybe a little bit sooner. I mean, I guess there was a chance with the three candidates she'd get in a runoff with Catherine Templeton, but she proved to be, popular, and she's a survivor.
Yeah.
She doesn't have Trump's backing, and she can win. She won this time with Trump's backing, and maybe she's a pretty good fit for the Lowcountry. This is a different type of district than many of the other districts in South Carolina.
Now, back in 2022, Dr. Annie Andrews came up a little short.
Right.
Of course, what's the difference between Michael B. Moore and Andrews, and does that work in his favor or against it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has an opportunity maybe to get sort of a different group of voters. Annie Andrews didn't have a lot of political experience when she ran. I think Moore ran a competitive primary, in a pretty competitive primary. Probably learned and had some good experience for that. He'll be able to bring that over to the general election.
Okay, and also I know we've still got a couple more things to get to. It appears as if there's going to be a rematch lined up for District 6. What factors do you think could impact the matchup between Jim Clyburn, who's the incumbent, and Duke Buckner?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a safe Democratic district. It's going to be hard for any Republican to win in that district, and certainly when you have somebody with the time and tenure that Jim Clyburn has, it's pretty much going to be his seat until he doesn't want it anymore. When he finally does decide to retire, I do think that'll be, one to watch, but certainly right now, I expect it to stay in the Democratic hands.
All right, so you think that Duke's got a bit of a road to toe on that one?
A big hill to climb,
All
yes.
right, there we go. Another interesting primary is, of course, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office race, with Alan Ali, of course, not making that Democratic ballot, and a loaded Republican primary now might be headed to a runoff. Let's talk about what we can expect from this race going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 weeks, so not a lot of time. If you participated in the Republican primary, you can vote in the runoff. And just going to be, is there going to be a debate? That's always something you want to see. And then, do the candidates, do they have money left? Do they have anything left in their tank to get their message out? So important just to get your supporters out in 2 weeks, because there's not all those other races. It's just really you're coming out for that particular race.
All right, so any surprises at all tonight across the board? Anything surprised you?
Just that this is a very interesting place to study politics. It's not clearly red, it's not clearly blue. We've got a lot of interesting dynamics here in the Lowcountry, and the SC1 race was, one that got national attention, and it's definitely one that a lot of people had on their radar screen. So kudos to Nancy Mace for pulling it out.
All right, some great insight there as always, Gibbs. Thank you for joining us.